Welcome back. Today I want to do a video on how to be successful in college. This is going to be a little bit different than my normal videos. You'll see me working on one of my students' projects in the background. I want to talk about how to be successful in college and some of the pitfalls college will offer you and how to overcome them. This advice will be useful no matter what major you are going for. First, let's dive into the pitfalls. Oftentimes, because you have a teacher teaching to a large class of students, sometimes up to 300 in a single class, depending on your degree, they are forced to teach the lowest common denominator or the lowest percentage of the class. The reason for this is how teachers often get evaluated. So their eligibility for getting a raise or their ranking amongst other teachers is generally evaluated based off of the percentage that passes of their class. The reason why this can become an issue is if you're a student who naturally excels, who's like at the top part of their class, especially if you have ADHD like I do, you'll get bored very easily because the content that they're teaching is just too simple to challenge you. And because you're bored, you'll tend to lose focus, and that can lead to bad grades, but also it can lead to you spending too much time doing the other fun things college have to offer, and you make little progress towards your eventual long-term goals. Do note that I'm not saying not to do the fun things, but moderation is important. The third pitfall is that everyone is getting a college degree these days, especially compared to times in the past. The degree in itself, because everyone has it, no longer separates you from other students as much as it used to, so it isn't as important as to get a job. What I mean by this is the degree itself will not get you a job by itself. You need to do other stuff to get that job. However, like most people on this subject, a lot of YouTubers will constantly say things like don't go to college. This is definitely not true. Statistically, I think it's on average, people with a 4-year degree make over $1 million in their lifetime, more than high school students, so you should definitely go to college. But the important thing again is that you have to do extra stuff. The only people who shouldn't are people who already know. By the time you're 18, they're already running a business, or they're already too busy doing stuff in the real world, so then maybe they don't need to go to college. So how do you deal with these three pitfalls? The answer lies in these three things: social networking, systems for productivity, and self-teaching. Let's go into social networking first. One of the greatest benefits that college gives you, especially if it's in person and not online, are the social aspects. Networking is oftentimes more valuable than the degree itself. The friends that you make in college will be the same ones who have an uncle or a cousin or a parent who can get you that interview or that job that gets you a foot into the industry. It really does often come down to who you know, not what you know. In order to get good at social networking, it's important not to neglect the social activities at college. Join clubs, go to events, generally be curious, go out and meet people. If you're a shy person, the place I recommend starting is this book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's an excellent book to teach the fundamentals of navigating social landscapes. I'll put a link to it down in the description. Basically, the core lesson in the book is that you need to put yourself in the other person's shoes. What are their wants? What are their needs? And how can you adjust to highlight those in your interactions with them? Everyone loves talking about themselves, so ask tons of questions and resist the urge to center the conversation on yourself. The next point is our productivity system. The productivity system is basically how you go about being productive. It's an excellent time to experiment when you're in college because the stakes are pretty low. Find out what works for you. What kind of brain do you have? If you have ADHD or if you have any sort of mental disorder or what have you, figure out what works well with the brain that you have. Do you need a flexible schedule? Do you need a rigid one? What kind of exercise works well for you? For my example, I keep a large whiteboard in my room. I put 3 to 4 tasks, and these are generally the most important tasks. So these are the ones that I feel most reluctant to do. I put those on there, and because it's so big, it takes up a good chunk of my room, and no matter where I am or what I'm doing, I can always see it. So I'm always getting constantly reminded, oh, I need to do these things, because I'll oftentimes get distracted. I recommend using some sort of journal or note-taking system to write things down. I use a program called Obsidian on my laptop, but you can use pen and paper journal or whatever. This is to facilitate you working on your life. So rather than just kind of living and going through the steps, you actively take time to engineer how you want to function in life. So like, okay, let me think about, am I spending too much time watching Netflix or playing video games or what have you? Let's track how much time I'm spending doing these things. Oh, look, I'm actually spending too much time. Now I can adjust. I will link down below several productivity YouTubers that I can vouch for having pretty decent advice as a place to start. And if you guys are interested, I can do some more videos on different systems and journaling activities that are useful for fleshing out your productivity system. The third solution is self-study. Remember, nearly everyone in class is learning the same things. So it's going to be the extra stuff that you do that actually gives you a way to stand out and outcompete them for jobs. To this end, take Udemy classes, follow my courses, find masterminds, seek out communities online of other devs or locally to whatever degree you work in. So it doesn't have to be software development, that's just what I'm talking about here. This is a good time in your life to do free work or volunteer work. There's this whole philosophy that you should never work for free. I generally consider this wrong. Sometimes you should work for free, especially at this point in life. The experience and knowledge is worth more to you than the monetary value of that time spent working on that job. There will be some students that struggle financially, and hopefully they'll have loans and stuff, but sometimes you'll have to work a boring job, Taco Bell or fast food or retail, what have you, to pay for your expenses and then spend your free time working on those projects that will further your goals. I will put in the description various channels that I've used in the past for tutorials and courses. All of these I can vouch for having high quality content. Generally, for Udemy classes in particular, you want to get the class on sale, as they go on sale often. You can normally get them for about 80 to 90% off, and they will normally be around 10 to 15 bucks when the sale is going. Now, how do you approach these projects? You want to make what's called a vertical slice. This is generally, at least in terms of game development, this varies a little bit depending on which field you're in, but the core concept is you find the smallest part that you can and do a very high polished job on it. So for game development, you're going to make one level of your game and you're going to make it polished. What this means is you're going to have final art, final sound, final mechanics in this level. Reason that we're doing just a vertical slice and not a whole game is because when you're starting off, you'll be learning so rapidly that nearly all the benefit you'll get will be in the first 20 to 30% of the project. So there's no point in doing an entire project, you just do one level, so you focus on that first 20 to 30%. I would suggest the time period around 3 months, give or take a month, for each vertical slice, assuming you're working at least 30 minutes to an hour a day on it. Each of these vertical slices will double as not only a great place to learn, because you'll rapidly be learning new mechanics and experiencing new things, but also good portfolio pieces, because these will be polished pieces. They're not going to be just like some Udemy tutorial project. You'll be taking it to that next step where you have final art, you have final code, you have final sound in it. I recommend, depending on your financial situation, if you're not a good artist, either find a buddy to do art, that would be great just as a networking opportunity, or buy some pack on Unity Asset Store, Unreal Asset Store, or whatever asset store you like to solve the art problem for you, and vice versa. If you're not a coder, go find a friend that can code or purchase it. There's nothing wrong in buying things and bringing them into your game. That does not make your game an asset flip. You just want to embellish on them and add to them and not just verbatim make your game only assets. I hope you guys found this video useful. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you in the next one.